So my name's Quincy, and I work in a field of climate science and mitigation called carbon dioxide removal. But what got me interested in the climate originally was I was working as a fellow at MIT at the Knowledge Futures Group. And one of the main focal areas that I was looking at was this issue of disinformation. At the time, we were looking a lot at disinformation. The year was 2019, and we were looking at disinformation around vaccines. So it was a really timely, auspicious, you could say, moment to be thinking about that topic as we were on the eve of coronavirus kind of becoming this really politically divisive issue. And vaccines today, I think, we're seeing a lot of mistrust and disinformation around them. Even incumbent vaccines that we've relied on for decades, like things like polio. And so working on disinformation around vaccines right around coronavirus got me really interested in how these implications really they ricochet through democracies, because our democracies are only as strong as the information we're voting from. And so looking into disinformation in more of a vaccine setting then got me interested in what are all the other ways that this as an issue trickles down into the sphere of politics and inaction on things. So I got really interested in climate change as a media literacy issue, right? Because there's a lot of vested interest to sort of distract us from the issues, and more importantly, the culpability of who's at fault for most of the emissions in the atmosphere. It's a list of companies, and there's a whole political economy around really who's overdrawn from the carbon budget, if you will. And so I started to see the climate crisis as really this question of climate justice, right? Where people who have contributed the least in terms of emissions are suffering the worst and the soonest. And we don't talk about that. And there's so much confusion around the climate crisis, how emissions have a much longer life cycle than people are aware of. It's fossil emissions live in our atmosphere for thousands of years, and we have the tools of drawing them down for that same time scale, effectively reversing climate change. But these aren't front and center on the ballot. These aren't things that people even know are real. And more insidiously, disinformation actually has enabled people to deny climate change. And so, I've just chosen, there's so many things to work on in this world and in this lifetime, but I kind of joined the bandwagon of this, of trying to reverse climate change, because I see it so critically tied to this storytelling mission we're on, which is we have one planet, we have one lifetime, let's try to use it in the most, in the most way that's in service to the public good. And I think chiefly among those tasks is working from real, factual, accessible information and working together. So I think disinformation cuts across all fields of things that we should be working on together to solve. And as long as it is rampant and sort of being driven by vested interests to control the outcomes of elections or other democratic institutions, I think we're in trouble. So I think the more we can care about things and approach caring about things from a point of factual information, the much stronger we will be as a people, as a democracy, and as a planet.